Good afternoon. Welcome to this frigid Friday. Today we'll be talking about all things weaving connection, building a culture of care in higher education with Miss Jessica Gray. Just a reminder, if you're here and you need continuing education credits, please drop your full name in the chat and whether you need McBAP or social work. At the end of this webinar, I'll be sending out a general survey and another survey to those who are here for continuing education. I'd like to introduce to you Jessica Gray. She serves as the coordinator for student wellness and academic success at the Broad College of Business at Michigan State University. Go Green. And she's earned her master's in social work from MSU in 2020 and brings 5 years of experience in higher education, case management, and social services. Her work has included supporting individuals and families facing housing and food insecurity, as well as helping patients at the University of Michigan Hospital navigate complex health and social systems. Jessica is deeply committed to making mental health support more accessible, fostering communities of care, and empowering students to thrive. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you. All right. Like Kristen said, my name is Jessica Gray, and I serve as the coordinator for student wellness and academic success at the Broad College of Business at Michigan State University. Before we begin, I like to set the stage with like a hope and a declaration. So it's my hope that you're inspired by what we're going through today. This topic is really close to my heart. Weaving connections and building a culture of care in higher education. By no means do I know everything, but this is what worked for me. And since it's such a small group, feel free to ask me questions. You could unmute and be, hey, promise. You could unmute and let me know of any questions that you may have. I'm very chill. And we'll go from there. All right. So today we're going to start off by just telling you a little bit more about me and what I do within the Broad College of Business. We're going to talk about how to establish the foundation for cultivating care, then the steps on how to cultivate care, practical tips, and then we're going to go ahead and close. All right, so a little bit about me. You heard my bio, but just to dive deeper of what I do exactly at Broad, I do a lot of resource navigation, crisis planning, employee consultations, wellness programming, wellness education, and I'm also the liaison for the College of Business to different campus resources. So a lot of wellness, a lot of personalizing what wellness look like, what mental health education looks like for our students and for our community. All right. Before we dive deep into all the good stuff, I want to take a moment and do a quick check-in. So I want everybody to pause, breathe, and really reflect. And then I want you to enter into the chat a word or phrase that describes how you are currently feeling right now.
Our community today here is very small, so I can read you some of the things that are being said if that helps you.
It
Okay.
does.
All right. I have so grateful, busy but grateful, grateful to be finished with the semester, thankful knowing a holiday break is on the horizon.
Amen. Hallelujah.
All
Same.
right.
All right.
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you,
Yes.
Kate.
Okay, because I'm in the car and I actually totally spaced out in this meeting. But I am, oh golly, thankful for, what most of us are thankful for, family and friends and a roof over our head. And yeah, and that we have,
Awesome.
that we support each other through this challenging subject, and that we are working to improve the lives of many. So yeah, that's it for
Okay.
me.
Perfect. Thank you, Kate.
You're
Awesome.
welcome.
Thank you. All right. So I completely forgot about the time of the year, which, this aligns with the holiday season. But I wanted us to reflect mostly so that we can recognize that when we go into different spaces, when we go into different rooms, what's going on in our life doesn't magically leave us. We bring that stuff in. And a lot of times when we're engaging with students and talking with students, when we address them, it's from the perspective of this is just what's going on in my world, without recognizing that just like we bring our own challenges, just like we bring our own stressors or gratefulness into a room, they do the same. So as we're going through the presentation, I really want you to keep that reflection in mind and remember that connection. When we're talking about students, we're talking about people who go through things just like we do, who have stressors at home and are coming into our classrooms or our offices or wherever we work with this, not baggage, but just with life on their mind. So take off the professional lids. It's helpful at times, but today I just want you to be a person and I just want you to receive, get excited. If you got questions, unmute. It's like a small, I can't see the screen right now, but it's like 5, 7 of us in here. If you have a question, feel free to unmute. This is a very chill space. And the most important thing to me is that you receive the content in the way that you need rather than the way that I'm trying to say it. I just want you to get what you need from this. All right. So we're going to start off by talking about what I consider the foundation, which is perspective, curiosity, and relationship. So we're going to focus on how do you see your community? How do you learn about your community? And how do you connect with your community? When I was coming up with this presentation, I was trying to figure out like where to start because I'm like, okay, I'll just do it. But as I started reflecting on my time at MSU, specifically in this role, I realized a lot of work went into these 3 areas before hopping into the intervention and applying that to the community's needs. So, what is your perspective? So I'm gonna start off by telling you a story that happened during my master's internship, not that long ago, but long enough ago. So I had my internship at the MSU Counseling Center. And while I was there, the director asked a question that honestly I still carry today, and it influences everything I do. She asked us, when a client sits with you, who do they see you as? Do they see you as a mother, a sister, a threat, a comfort? What do they see you as? And it's super important to be mindful of that because that heavily impacts your therapeutic relationship. Well, one thing I've learned over the years regarding community organizing is that you got to take that a step further. Not only how are you seen, but how do you see the community do you help? I mean, that you help. Many people know the right terminology, they know the research, the correct language, but does that knowledge actually influence how you treat the people you serve? I've seen many people who, in the staff meetings, they'll say, yes, this person is responding this way because that's the coping mechanism that helped them survive and get to this point, and we don't need to take it personal. But in the moment, they take it very personal and they respond out of that place. So it's important to be mindful of like, what am I looking at right now? How do I see them? When I meet with students, am I viewing them as lazy? Because that's going to impact how I treat them. Am I viewing them as a problem or am I recognizing their humanity? Knowing is one thing, but if it doesn't change your practice, what is the point? To foster a true culture of care, you have to start with you. How do you see the population? What labels do you use, even silently? What narratives do you speak over them in frustration? If you see them, oh, like I said earlier, if you see them as lazy or the problem, it will show in your actions. Self-awareness is foundational to building trust and connection. All right. So you don't have to do this right now, but I think we'll send the slides out. If we do, I definitely want you to do it then. But I really want you to take time to ask yourself, what is your perspective and why are you doing this work? Is it to help or are you trying to heal yourself through others? What are you actually doing when you're interacting with the people? Are you working to shift the culture or are you just concerned about making what's already happening work? And then what needs to shift in me to show up with care so that I could show up with care and respect and accountability with the culture I'm engaging with. So the story that comes to mind right now is when I was in college, I had a community organizing class and I had to watch how it was a community in Africa and the people, they were like, okay, this community needs water. Let me go ahead and build this whole system. Let me make them new apartments. Let me make sure that they have running water, indoor toilets. They were like, this is a problem. We need to address it. But they never talked to the community. So they bulldozed the community and were like, all right, cool. We're going to move you into these apartments. Little did they know they destroyed a whole ecosystem that helped that community survive for generations. So if you're viewing what your community is doing as a problem, if you're viewing it as like, oh, you don't know better, you just need to do this or you just need to do that, you're going to miss the beauty and what's already established in that community. I think it's in the next slide, we're going to talk about strengths. Oh, curiosity. Sometimes I get ahead of myself, but that's okay. All right, curiosity. So, like I said earlier, too often we assume we understand the problem. We build interventions in a vacuum and then wonder why our students don't respond or don't show up. We'll plan this great thing, everybody's excited, and then five people come to the event that you plan, and it's a whole thing. I want to encourage us to slow down and return to the basics. It seems so simple. When I was typing, I was like, well, I don't see none of this as super duper profound, but the basics really help make a strong foundation. If you're wondering why students aren't engaging, are you asking them? Or are you just assuming that they just need to work harder and come on? Are we asking, where do you need me to be when we're creating events? For some of one thing that I've been learning is that sometimes you're going to have to bring it to them, which is something we'll talk about later, which actually might be the next slide. Oh, yeah. Ask before you build. There we go. So I want to encourage you to take time to learn. Learn what your population enjoys. What are they struggling with? Where are their strengths? Who hold influence in their community? When I first arrived to Broad, I actually spent like a month really doing that. I learned how our student senate sets the tone for a lot of our student organizations. I learned how the teachers have a great influence on the students who may not be involved in the orgs. So those are key partners. I also learned about what resources are on campus and different things that they struggle with. I learned about the strength of the group. They're really good at reflecting. They're really good at getting things done, taking initiative. But one thing they struggle with is self-care. Taking the time to really learn what the community needs helps you develop interventions with them that are effective and long lasting. When something stands out, I want to encourage you to be curious, investigate, and ask questions. And remember, what you see isn't always the root cause. I remember my time in the community. A lot of times people are like, "Oh, such and such just needs a job, and once they get a job, they'll be able to maintain housing." But the truth was, the real barrier was childcare and transportation and safety. So in reality, we could get them a job all we want, but if we're not addressing the need for childcare and transportation, they're going to lose the job just like they did before. Things like that cause a perspective shift and helps you adjust what you're building to tailor to be applicable to the needs of the community. So ask before you build and be curious. All right. So the third foundation piece are relationships. Once you understand your community, start intentionally connecting with the key players. This is where the weaving begins. All right, so many communities have people come in, ask questions, make promises, and disappear. When you're coming in, when you're asking those questions, so this was more of a warning rather than like I guess a tool. It's more of a mindset shift that I want to encourage you to do. Recognize that a lot of, especially with our students, so a lot of students are used for research or, I don't know, so much happening, especially on MSU's campus. It's like, okay, let's survey the students, see what they want, and either nothing comes from it, or if it does, it's a very much watered down version of it. So I want to encourage you that when you're engaging with the community, when you're working with the students, to come into the position of like, hey, I'm here, I'm asking the questions, but I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. I remember when I was in the community, I used to do that with my clients. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. We maybe got a year. What can we do in this year to make sure that you feel supported and get the things that you see as important done? So with our students, it's the exact same thing. I can't make you promises of how long I'm going to be here, but what's something that I have influence over that would make a change in your life? Maybe it's me creating a form that you could carry with you anywhere you go. Maybe it's a situation where it's like, hey, actually, I just need you to talk to the teachers or talk to whoever's higher up if you have that influence about the way we navigate mental health in the classroom. Maybe it's talking to a student organization and consulting with them so that you could tell them ways to incorporate wellness centered initiatives. I know I met with a student the other day who came to me and was like, I really appreciate what you're doing. Here's something that I want to apply to our org, but I don't know how. So working with them to create lasting changes that go beyond you just being here. All right. Oh yeah, don't promise things you can't do. That really does hinder the relationship. All right. So when I build relationships across my college with faculty, advisors, staff, leaders, I don't rely on them accessing me directly. So as you're engaging with the culture and cultivating these relationships, it's important that you don't do it from the perspective of everything relying on you. The image that I think of a lot is like a seesaw, how you got the triangle and then it's just teeter totter, teeter totter. You don't want it to be a seesaw. You want it to be a pyramid. You want it to have multiple things at the bottom so that things can build up rather than it all, well, I guess an upside down. You don't want it as an upside down pyramid. I think that's a better example. You want it to be facing up so it can build up rather than upside down to where it's all on you. When you do this, when you create the relationships, what's happening is you're creating multiple levels of access. So to your services or to the information that you want to spread across the college. So in Broad, I'm not relying on my own strength. There's actually a system that's been created through these relationships that go before me and make ways for things I can't do. Like it's not listed on here, but funding. A lot of my peers have access to certain companies and it's like, okay, they'll talk about me in rooms that I'm not even in. They're like, this is what Jessica is doing. This is where this is going. They understand my vision. And even when I'm not there, or even when I don't even think to ask them, they're talking about me or implementing what I'm talking about in different scenarios. So I have listed here a couple of ways that students are able to access services, even though it's not directly to me. So some of them are directly to me though. So for example, a professor, because I've developed a relationship with the key stakeholder, which in this case is the professor, they're referring students to me when they notice that something is off. They feel like they have a safety net in a way. They're like, oh, okay, I see that such and such has missed a couple classes. I'm not really sure of how, like, what to do with that because I'm not a mental health professional, but I have a relationship with Jessica. I trust Jessica. Let me refer this excuse me, let me refer the student to Jessica. Then that student's able to access services and being taken care of from there. Also, student leaders, like I mentioned earlier, they have a relationship with them. So not only do they feel comfortable talking to me, but they also refer their friends to come talk to me. They're also consulting me with how to reconstruct their meetings so that they incorporate time and space for students' mental health. Staff, knowing where to send me, making sure everybody is on the same page. Honestly, a lot of what I'm telling you I was inspired by a presentation that I saw when I first started that's being done at community colleges. They're already doing it. So it's not that it's not being done, it's just that we have yet to incorporate that in a four-year institution. So having that mindset that everybody needs to be on the same page, everybody needs to have knowledge of what is being done so that they can appropriately send a student where they need to go. And then also peers, spreading the word, spreading the message. So making sure that as I'm engaging with students, they're leaving with a good experience so that when they see that their friend is going through it, they remember when I was going through it, Jessica made me smile. Let me send you to somebody who makes me smile. Building trust creates a safety net and shifts culture. So the image that I like to get is like, each weave going up and under, up and under, even though it's a common thread, like same material. It's all about wellness. It's all about mental health and making sure that you're good, but you're creating this safety net to catch anybody who might try to slip through the cracks. It's like, okay, they may not feel comfortable coming directly to Jessica, but they do feel comfortable going to their professor who can guide them from there. They may not feel comfortable coming to me cold turkey, but they do feel comfortable talking to the president of Student Senate and saying, this is what I'm going through. A lot of times what I notice is they don't want to come to me, but they want that extension on their paper. And their teacher says, if you go talk to Jessica, then we could work on something. I just don't feel comfortable giving that to you outright. So preparing for all scenario and creating an impact that lasts beyond you. That's what creates sustainable change. So when I do things like this, I like to, as if you can't tell, I like to do it from the perspective of how can I make sure this survives when I'm not here? And people always go to negative, but like something great could happen. I could get married and move to another country. I could I could get a job, or the my department can grow and I get a better position. Whatever it is, I want to make sure that what's happening in the College of Business is not contingent on Jessica Gray being in this exact position and having this exact availability. All right. So I like to do a little reflection. That's something that I actually really like to do with my students, because it allows them to take the information that I've discussed and connect with it personally. So we're going to do a quick reflection. Since it's a smaller group, I'm going to just ask people to unmute, just answer one of the questions and unmute, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I have 5 questions that are listed, and I'm going to read through them, and then you just let me know which one sticks out to you that you want to answer. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can also put in the chat. Forgot that that's a thing, but that's definitely a Zoom thing. So, when your community interacts with you, who do they see you as, and how do you see them? That's question number 1. Number 2, what assumptions do you hold about their needs, and how might those assumptions shape your actions? Number 3, what questions could you ask to uncover the real barriers behind what you see? Number 4, who are the key connectors that can help you reach and support your community beyond direct access? And then last but never least, number 5, how can you build trust and weave relationships so your impact lasts beyond your presence? Some pause. And then you could go ahead and unmute or put it in the chat.
I'll go ahead and go. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
This is Karen Broski. I might be a unique one that added myself in. I work in a private practice. I also have my school counseling, but the reason I wanted to come on and listen in is where our practice is directly located pretty much down the road from Oakland University. We work a lot with different universities. So I'm really wanting to work on collaboration. So like when you're talking about community, this whole piece of like, I see a lot of students. I actually see a lot of students from Michigan State. So like interacting and how I can create a community within the university as well with mental health services and what they're utilizing. So I'm kind of a unique one, an oddball one to this, but I work very closely with a lot of individuals at different universities in Michigan. So I just wanted to come on and see other ways that I can kind of get different ideas from different perspectives.
Oh, that's good. Well, welcome. I
Thanks.
think that's so cool. I think it's cool that you're taking that initiative, and hopefully it's something that we're going through or talking through that you can apply to your practice. Oh, go ahead, Kate. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Uh, so I didn't really have anything to add. I didn't realize I unmuted myself.
Oh,
I'm the president of NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness Grand Traverse. And so we don't do a lot with kids, but we're doing more because we have NAMI on campus where we're trying to get into Northwestern Michigan Community College and help them. Some of the kids get a like club because a lot of young people I think are put off and older people by uh, the phrase support group. So we do that. And then NAMI, of course, has Ending the Silence where we go speak to middle and high school kids. There's actually kind of a standardized video that talks about, just mental health disorders, how to recognize them in yourself or others, and how to develop coping skills, and when it really is time to get professional help, so on and so on. And so I think yeah, looking at individuals like in the face, eye to eye, and just we tend to not do that enough and not see the person. And I love the one song by Brandon Heath, and it's in the Bible, it's biblical about seeing people through Christ's eyes or whatever. And I think that's kind of what you're speaking to. Thank you.
oh, no problem. And then no pressure, but did anybody want to answer one of the reflection questions?
We have one in the chat.
Okay.
Abigail said, For question number 4, a key connector for me is the MSU Trauma Services and Training Network as we think about creating a safe and trauma-informed university community. This network includes representation across campus colleges, departments, etc., all working together to implement some of the universal precautions when it comes to trauma and its impacts.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah, I like what everybody said and also the feedback. Thank you. But yeah, identifying what is personal to you, where are you trying to go and who can help you get there, but not from the perspective of like, oh, you can help me but I'm not going to help you, but how can we work together to support our common population or achieve our common goal. So thank you all so much for participating in the reflection questions. All right, so now we're going to get to my bread and butter, the codes, and I have examples too. So if you got questions, it's 3 y'all. Unmute, let me know. We'll pause. I'll answer the questions. If you want help applying it to your prospective jobs or work environments, let me know. I'm full of ideas at all times. So I'm definitely glad to talk through it. All right, so cultivating care. And then just, Kristen, if you could let me know if they like unmute, because I'm not going to be able to see them in a second.
Okay, will do.
Thank you. All right. So once trust and relationships are built, the world opens up. The world is your oyster. And now it's time to act. Look at the needs that you've identified with the community and create interventions that truly fit your people based on your knowledge and experience professionally and with the group. Um, it's okay that you notice things that the students don't. That's part of the point of us being professionals, but work with them to develop it. We'll talk about an initiative that I developed at MSU in a moment. But one of the things that I did is once I talked to them and noticed that there was a need that needed to be addressed and that I could address within my realm of influence, I surveyed them constantly. I had like little focus groups just to see like, okay, what is your perspective? Is this what you need? What do you need in here? What does that look like? I want to encourage you to think like a researcher. So form your hypothesis, gather data, then decide. And when that foundation is set, then decide. So what ends up happening is once that foundation is set, you're no longer working alone because it's a collective effort. You get buy-in from the key stakeholders you're connected with. And then that's when the real culture shift starts to begin. Okay, no, I was about to repeat myself. All right, so we're going to go over what's worked personally for me. And I've broken that down into 2 areas. So the first one is accessibility, which is how do students access services? And then the second one is normalization. So how do we talk about the services that we are providing to students? This is what I meet with a lot of people about because of the initiative that I'm going to go over in a moment. All right. So accessibility. When I first came back to MSU, so as you heard from my bio, for a couple of years after graduating from Michigan State with my master's, I went to Washtenaw County. I worked in the community for a while, and then I came back to campus. So professionally, I do not have a lot of higher ed experience. This is all new to me, and it's drastically different than working in a community nonprofit. But because I was a student here, there were some connections that I still had that were still active. And when I reached out to those connections, one of them who used to be my mentor told me that too many people expect students to come to them, but they do not go to the student. So they're expecting the student to come to their office, to their event, find me, instead of going to where the students are located and injecting yourself into that area. So I want to encourage you to go where the students are, not just physically, but in language, tone, format, and expectations, instead of expecting them to flock to you. Design for them and not for you. Let me make sure that's not the next slide. Yep, here we go. Okay. So learn how your group processes information. Do they appreciate individual reflection, group discussion, movement, visuals? I remember, so as I do presentations throughout the college and it's starting to expand to different departments in the university, I started to learn that what worked at Broad no longer works with the other groups. So I do a presentation at Broad because they're going, it's businessy. They really appreciate the pause, the slow down, the reflect, the talking to your neighbor maybe. And then really thinking about what's the time that I went through this and how can I move forward? Well, when I went to a different department to, I was about to say to preach, to then I was about to say to minister. What do I do? Talk to present. There we go. So when I went to a different department to present, I tried the same tactic and it wasn't received well. That population had different needs, different experiences, and a different culture. They needed me to do more group discussion. They needed me to do something while they were interacting with maybe some art, whatever it is. It was a completely different environment. And so it needed a completely different approach. Um, so I want to encourage you to ask yourself, is this about me or is it about them receiving the information well? I had to get over myself and say, okay, it's not about me. I just want them to learn about mental health resources. I just want them to take better care of themselves. So however I need to adjust it is however I need to adjust it. Make sure that you're avoiding jargon and acronyms. It's easy. I think they call it alphabet soup. It's easy to fall into the alphabet soup and say, okay, when I go here and when I go there. But as somebody who's worked in 3 different sectors, not everything translate well. ROI means 3 different things I'm learning, and it's probably more. I thought it was release of information, then it's return of interest, then it's something else. And it's hard to keep track. So make sure that you're using plain language and think of yourself as a translator. So when you're in the rooms where it's like, okay, the acronyms work, everybody understands, that's totally fine. So you could translate the needs of the community to the people who hold the power. But when you're meeting with the community, use plain language and make sure that it's a clear understanding of what you're saying and what the goal is. Lastly, in this slide, get creative with communication. Use stories, metaphors, examples, relatable sources. So there's a book that let me make sure that's not my next slide because that will get me. No. Okay. So there's a book that I teach on quite frequently called Chatter by Ethan Kross. And I love Chatter. It's amazing. 10 out of 10 recommended if you got a second to read it. But what that book does is simplify mental health jargon. So it talks about rumination. Excuse me. So it talks about rumination. It talks about the inner critic. It talks about all these different things, but in a real simple way that's tangible. He tells a lot of stories, provides a lot of examples and a lot of different scenarios. So he tells his personal story. He'll talk about a football player. He'll provide examples that are tangible no matter where you come from, and then gives you solutions of how to implement what he thinks will address the issue. So for him, he says, okay, when your inner critic is talking, when you have that negative inner voice, or when you're struggling to get over what is going on, like let's say you're focusing on how you bombed a test. So this is literally how I talk to the students. When you're focusing on how you bomb a test, here are some ways to help you get out of that tornado or how to get out of that rut. Talk to it's a whole thing. But go into nature is one of the examples. I was about to go down my whole presentation, but go into nature is one. Start grounding, put your feet on the ground, even see it. So he'll tell you about the research behind it, but the way he communicates the actual strategy is something that's understandable no matter who you are or no matter where you're from. So being mindful of how you're communicating it will make complex concepts seem familiar and accessible. So you may ask, why is that important? It feels relevant. So it's one thing to hear, okay, when this is going on, this is what's happening in your brain and this is what you do. It's another thing to say, okay, how many people have felt stressed out during finals week? Everybody raised their hand. Okay, how many people have slept? Nobody raised their hand. Okay, so let's talk about ways that you could work on your sleeping habits during stressful times. It feels non-judgmental because it normalizes it. Everybody does this. Here's how ways that I can see what fits for me as far as getting over it. So when I'm entering into a new workplace, that's a common example I give. As a young person entering into an established workplace, you feel insecure. You feel like you don't have nothing to offer. Here are some ways to build that confidence. Here are some ways to address that inner critic when it's talking to you while you are speaking in front of your group. It feels non-judgmental. It makes it memorable. So applying it to them individually helps them remember it because it's not about, okay, I got a load of information. It's like, oh, this pings because I applied it to a direct situation that commonly happens. So the next time I feel stressed when I go to an exam, this is what I'm going to do because I remember one thing from Jessica's presentation, and it was, hey, look at nature beforehand, or hey, do a ritual or routine that'll help get you hyped for your exam. And then lastly, it connects the information while you have their attention. I tell them all the time, I do not trust them to actually do what I say once they leave. They are busy people. They have busy lives. They have a lot of things competing for their time. So how can I use my time wisely to connect it in an impactful way so that they see themselves in whatever I'm trying to communicate, whether it's time management, whether it's increasing help seeking behaviors, whether it's about rumination, whatever it is, how can I use that time to quickly connect it so that they leave with something and apply it to their lives? And a lot of them actually, when they come back and talk to me, they do it. They tell their friends about it. One of the things we're going to go over, because I have examples of this, is called Hauser 5. It's something that's quick, it's easy, it's simple, and they be like, I may have forgot everything you said, but I really like the Hauser 5, and that's something that I've been applying. All right. And then lastly, regarding this section is get creative on the delivery. So your delivery matters just as much as what you're talking about. You could be having a fabulous conversation about something that's super important, but if your delivery is off, it's going to go over their head or they're going to become disinterested. Especially, honestly, I can't even judge them because I was about to say, especially with students, but also with adults too. It's like, okay, I'm tired of hearing this person talk. Let's keep this going. Um, so don't be afraid to get creative, and don't neglect the power of fun. Use games. So we'll go through a couple slides of things that I've done in previous presentations that involve games that still get the message that I'm trying to get across, but in a fun way to where now I'm recognized as, oh yeah, you're the lady who threw beach balls at me. So don't be afraid to get creative. Don't be afraid to have fun with it. Also creating sticky frameworks. So creating phrases that stick so that when they're in a pinch, they think about that one thing. Hauser 5? When in doubt, go to Jessica is a common thing. People come to me about stuff that technically I don't even do, but I'm glad that they remember what I said. When in doubt, go ask Jessica. Expect that they won't remember every concept, but have one thing that they should remember. And then lastly, normalize help seeking by making it fun. Fun builds trust and students know where to go. So we'll see examples about that in a second. Let me go to the slide. Yes. All right, cool. So here are a couple examples and I'm gonna take my time through this. If you have questions, let me know. Jessica, you are welcome to attend. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just now seeing the chat. Attend where? Oh, okay. Oh, I'm gonna read that later. Oh, sorry. So here are some examples of things that I do in the College of Business that has been really successful. So this is what the Hauser 5 form looks like. I did not create Hauser 5. I think it's awesome, but that was not me. I actually learned about it in a training, I want to say last year. So this was originally created after Hurricane Katrina to help survivors go beyond I'm just fine. Because if somebody asks me, how am I doing? I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine. But if somebody specifically asks me, have you slept? Are you eating too much? How's your family? Do you enjoy what you do? That causes me to reflect and think deeper. So it's quick, it's catchy, it's only a couple questions. We have it on a form that says Hauser 5. I had our marketing team make it all Sparty. And people love it. They grab it. It's in people's offices, it's in people's book bags, but we have this so it's catchy. It does what I need to do without going super in depth. And we also have it online as well. So this is the Hauser 5. Next, this is an example of a presentation I've done to really hone in on help seeking behaviors. They didn't know it. They just knew we were playing Jeopardy and had a good time. So it looks interactive. It's fun. They actually start competing because, bro, students are very competitive. It's just the nature of business. So I try to incorporate that as much as possible when I'm talking to students. Here's an example of one of the slides that I use to remind them, hey, I'm here. Here's what I do. Are you showing something? And as you can see, it makes it fun. They don't know where the daily double is, but when they click on it, it's like, hey, here's a reminder of not only am I fun, but this is what I do. Here's how I can help you. So I talk about it at the beginning of the presentation, and I always incorporate it in the game. Here's another example. So we play a game called Don't Drop the Beach Ball. This one in particular is to help them get a visual, like a physical representation of what it's like in your first year, honestly, in life, because you got to juggle a lot in life. But for the purpose of this is normally during new student orientation, we talk about how it's what it's like to navigate your first year. When do you use these games? I use I use it in both, to be honest. I use it in individual consultations as well as groups. A lot of so Jeopardy is more of a group game, but I have done a don't drop the beach ball in an individual consultation because one of the students I was working with, she was navigating all this stuff, and I was like, I need you to physically see what you're doing to yourself, even though I need to connect this for you. So I had her stand up. I had the beach balls all blown up, and I was like, oh no, you just failed an exam. Oh no, your money is running out. So I'm like I'm like, okay, now juggle. And so as she's going through, and I'm like, oh, here's this situation. Here are all the things you just told me about. And this is what this is what this looks like emotionally. I'm just giving you a physical representation of it. Oh, thank you. So I literally throw the balls at them to stress them out intentionally in a safe way, so that they can remember how their body felt. So we also do education on like, okay, where do you hold stress in your body? Walking them through that process. When the balls were being thrown at you, what happened? What was the first thing you did? And then I also use what happens in the group actively. So when I gave the presentation over the summer, one of the groups worked together because the only rule was that it couldn't touch the ground. Well, there was a couple other rules, but the main rule was that it couldn't touch the ground. So one group worked together, and I use that as an example of like, hey, when you reach out, I'll go to the next slide. When you reach out, ask for help and get support. It'll help you manage all the balls that are being thrown at you by life. So using examples that are tangible, where it's like, oh, okay, that was good. That just hit me. Like I know another example. I talk about a car a lot, and I say, if you wouldn't expect your car to drive properly with no gas, with no gas and no oil, why are you doing the same thing to your body? And they're like, oh, I got that visualization. I could clearly relate to that. I've been in that situation before, or I've been afraid of that situation before. So that makes me think about what I'm doing to myself differently. Because a lot of times it's not that they don't know it's not healthy. It's just the fact that like the consequences haven't hit them yet. It's kind of like as you get older, it'll be like my knees. I only realized about my knees because my knees started cracking. So now I'm thinking about my knees because I've experienced the pain of my knees cracking. But when I was younger, I didn't have to think about that. The consequences didn't hit me yet. So I'm just helping it hit them a little bit earlier so that when they get to a certain age and their knees start cracking, they're already prepared. Okay. So this is another example of like, hey, asking for help. This is what asking for help does. Hey, it's never too early. Everybody does it. And then lastly, this one is my favorite. It took me a couple hours to make this one, but this was a time management simulation called the Balancing Act. So it's fun, it's engaging. Not a lot of people are doing it. They're like, what is this? And so now they're competing, but they're also learning. And in that, it's like, oh, surprise event. You talked to Jessica. So in with this particular game, when you make a decision, there's no right decision in this. It's just some are more stressful than others, and you got to pick whatever you're going to do. And so they have a physical representative, and when the person is standing up there, I give them balls to represent, like, hey, this happened. So now you're stressed. Now you got to hold big balls and little balls. Oh, this happened. So now you get these balls taken away because this need has been satisfied. And so with this one, I'm like, okay, we're already in the ball theme. Now you met with Jessica. So now that help release your stress because you know where to go. So giving them those examples in different ways and getting creative with it and fun makes a lasting impact. There have been several people who have come to see me because of the ball game. They're like, you're the lady who threw balls at me. I'm about to come to your office. And I also remember you said you had snacks. You're the lady with snacks and I want some chips. Let me go to Jessica's office. But what that does is make them more comfortable to have deeper conversations. So because of these games, a student came to my office and was like, hey, I remember you from the summer. You're the ball lady, but I've been feeling really anxious and I don't know where to go. And I remember you said you knew where to go. And so what do I do? Or I'm going through something and I don't have the language to articulate it and I don't know where to start. But I remember you said, when in doubt, just ask Jessica. So, Jessica, can I get some chips and talk to you about what's happening? So, what it's doing is creating relationship, it's making things tangible, it's allowing not only, oh, Lauren's here. It's allowing not only them to have fun, but also them to receive the education of like, okay, when in doubt, if I forget everything else, go to Jessica. Jessica can help me if she says no stupid questions. And right now I feel like I have a stupid question. So let me just go to her and we'll see what happens from there. People pop in my office all the time. Roommate drama, basic needs stuff, lights off, whatever it is. I remember your presentation. You said I could come to you anytime. So I'm here. Okay, let's see. All right, so before we go into normalize, the game part is not only my favorite, but the part that a lot of people get curious about. Next, we're going to go into normalizing. Okay, this is also my bread and butter. I think I spoke too soon. So okay, let me before I hit it. Okay. So, you want to be mindful of how you're talking about the resources that you provide because that's how it's going to be interpreted. And you may be like, "Jessica, what?" If you say this resource is for students who are in need, blah blah blah, then students will be like, I'm not that bad, I'm not that in need, and they won't access that service. You want to make sure it's normalized so that it feels safe and stigma free. So I'm going to show you an example with the Broad Care Center. We'll go into more about what that is, how we talk about it. And I even got a commercial I'll show y'all. But you want to be mindful of the language that you use because that really does set a standard. If it's like, oh, these are for students in need, this is just for if you're going through a hard time. If those are the only examples that you give, I don't know. Let me double check. It might be on a future slide, but I'm gonna cut there because it's popping to mind. It's kind of like the In the Arms of an Angel commercial. Every time you hear that song, you think about a sad dog that's whimpering and you want to cry, right? If that's what you, I don't know what else that company does. They could be doing some incredible things. They could be doing some things that I need access to. But all I know is when I hear that song, I think of the dog crying. And for our students, applying it to our students, if they're not in a situation with the crying dog, they're not going to think about the resource and they're not going to utilize it, even though you want them to utilize it before they get to the dog. Timing, if that makes sense. So if you only talk about it in dire situations, oh, when you're homeless, oh, when you have no food in your cupboard, when you're really in need, they're like, oh, that's not me. So I don't feel comfortable using that because I'm taking away from people who are in that situation. Where the truth is, a lot of them are food, not everybody, but there are large groups of people who are food insecure, who don't access services because they're like, oh, I just had to skip a meal, but because I still have some type of access to food, then I don't want to touch that. So your language, it matters. And we'll go into that in a moment because I feel like I'm gonna hop ahead of myself again. So normalizing also creates covers for everyone to feel welcome. So I'll explain a little bit more about that when I talk about the care center. But essentially what you're doing is giving them a cover story. If it's kind of like the store. Everybody goes to the store and everybody uses a credit card nowadays. And if you don't know what an EBT credit card look like, the EBT card look like, it just is a normal experience for you. It's like, oh, okay, everybody doing it. I just see this person go to the store, scan the EBT card and go on, but I just don't know what that is. I just think it's another credit card. It's kind of like that. They're coming with different experiences, but providing that cover story of like normalizing, like, oh, it's just the grocery store, or oh, in my case, it's just the care center. Everybody goes there for snacks, or everybody goes to Jessica for snacks, allows for the people who may be like severely in need or on the cups or right before, whatever it might be, to still access that service. Like earlier when I was talking about the student who, hey, everybody comes to Jessica for snacks because we heard she had free chips. I'm about to go talk to Jessica so I could get some free chips. Well, actually, when we're in session, it's like, actually, I'm really going through it and I'm struggling with depression right now. But nobody knows why you're in my office because everybody comes to my office. I was about to look for somebody, but I hope that's making sense. So when you talk about resources casually, it's like an everyday experience rather than something where you access it in dire need. It's still there for the people in dire need. It's still reaching that population, but now we're getting people before they get to that point. So we're going to watch a video because I love a good video about the care center. And then I want you to pay attention to the language used in the video. And then we'll go ahead and process it there.
Hey, I'm Megan, and I'm headed to E101 in the Broad College to talk to Jessica Gray about the Broad Care Center. Hey, Jessica.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm so excited to learn more about the Broad Care Center. How do we get there?
So first, you just have to go online to our website, broad.msu.edu/care center, schedule an appointment for either in-person pickup or in-person shopping. If you select in-person shopping, all you have to do is meet us here in E101. Go to the front desk, let them know you're here for your appointment, and a volunteer will come out and take you up to the care center. All right, so you're gonna follow me. So this is the care center.
This is a really great space. Why would somebody want to use the care center?
Whatever they need. Like if you want to come in and like, okay, I don't need to buy the shampoo or these cleaning supplies because I could get them here for free so that this money can go elsewhere. That's what the care center is here for.
So what products are available?
So we have a ton of different products: body care items, hair care, oral hygiene, cleaning supplies, menstrual products, as well as quick foods. You can also schedule a mobile order as well as a dash bag, coming in for a dash bag anytime that the UAS office is open, which is between 8 and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Okay, so I played that video. Well, I do love that video and I do look good in that video. The reason why I played the video is because I want you to be mindful of the messages you communicate. So adding on to that normalization, be mindful of the messages you communicate when you're talking about the resources or when you're talking about the services you want to provide to students. So Broad Care Center, free resource for anybody in the College of Business or connected to the College of Business. And it told what we offer, right? So you already know who we are and what we do, but the message that we say around it, even outside of the commercial, when my students, because I have student volunteers now, when my students are talking to other students or working with students who are accessing the care center, it's more so of, you forgot your lunch, go grab a snack, go grab some chips, go grab some ramen. It's free. You know, might as well get it for free instead of going to Panera, say that $5 for something else. Or, oh, instead of going to Walmart to get this dish soap, you could get it for free upstairs. You're already here. Might as well save on gas. So it's viewed as more of a convenience rather than, oh, I'm in need. Let me access this because I don't have X, Y, and Z. It's like, oh no, everybody using it. My staff, I highly encourage my staff to use it, which also helps with the normalization. So everybody on my staff, I haven't forced them. They actually see stuff come in and they're like, oh, I want that. Let me let me go ahead and go through the process for the care center. Oh, thank you. Is this type of service offered in separate colleges or business only? So what I've actually been doing, so we just opened in February. And what I've been doing is anybody who comes to me and want to talk about starting their own, I've been talking to them about it. So I've spoken with several colleges and they've started their own version of a care center and they do it in their own way too, which is always my hope. So natural science, I think they're divided in two, but one of their buildings has a care cart. So they just have a cart where students can go and just grab things. I know human medicine, they just started, I forgot the name of theirs, but it's like a care shelf. So like it's applicable to what their students need and what works for their staff. Cause I'm in a special role to where like my boss allowed me to incorporate this a part of my job. But I know there are other departments who may not have that much level of freedom. So it just depends on what they're able to do. So yes, other colleges do have something similar. And if you want help starting one, I'd give a tour and I go down everything you need to know to do it. Okay. Okay, I'm reading the thing, so give me a second. Okay. I wish every college on campus had this accessible for students. I know that's the hope. I really hope that as well. I know other universities are starting to do it, so I just met with a few of them, and they want to do a version of the care center as well. Um, I love this. Okay, definitely wish. Okay, cool. So I wanted to make sure I got through all of that, but we're mindful of messages even on our advertisements, when we're talking about it, when we have staff, faculty, students, because it's technically open to anybody. As everybody's talking about it, it's just, oh, you could go there and get a snack. Oh, let me go to the impact. I was about to hop ahead. All right. So, what's the impact of us changing our language and our messaging around the care center or being mindful of that as we've opened up about the care center? Hundreds of students have had their basic needs met without stigma. So there have been students who have come to me. I was like, oh, you could go get some water at the care center. It's a hot day. And it was like, no, I don't need that. You know, that's for those people. Well, as I'm entering data, I see that such and such actually did come in probably with their friends because their friends are using the care center or they're placing a mobile order because they don't have to worry about getting seen. So students they may come in saying like, I don't need that. That's not for me. I'm just here for some chips. But on average, they leave with about 15 items. And we don't have that many types of chips. So they're leaving with dish soap, laundry detergent, menstrual products, hair care products, body care products. They're leaving with a lot of things that are meeting their basic needs. There are some students who are like, I'm really just here for the chips because I forgot my lunch. But a lot of students, like I think 50% of the students come back after using it the first time. So a lot of them are returning. We just opened in February. First semester, we had about 63 uses. This semester, we're over 200 uses. So it's I'm not saying stuff that I'm making up, like it's actually working because our students are excited about it. They're sharing it and they're using it constantly. And I've had the more emotional stories where students are coming to me and they're saying, oh my gosh, with my senior year, me having to work this internship and all this stuff, this is really helping me stretch my budget. So it's still hitting I need to stretch my budget students, but it's also hey, it's so nice that I could use this money slightly elsewhere. Like I could save this $20 because on average, they get about $20 worth of products. I could save this $20 and apply this maybe even to something more fun. It don't have to be just for your bills. Sometimes it's nice to just go to Bath and Body Works and get a $20 candle or whatever it might be to make you feel good. So, uh, so it's more of a mindset of, oh, I'm using that too, instead of oh, you're using that. So key principles from this: normalize, normalize, normalize. When you talk about it casually and as a convenience-based thing, that's how it's viewed. When you talk about it as something more guilt-based, like the In the Arms of an Angel commercial, it changes how the students interact with it. So you want to make sure that they feel normal, but that starts with you. If you want them to feel normal using the service, you got to make sure you don't get them pity. You got to make sure you feel normal using a service or talking about the service. If you treat it like a taboo thing, it's going to be viewed as something taboo that you shouldn't do, or that's just a special thing. But if you're like, hey, yeah, go upstairs and get some chips. You want some more? Then they're like, oh, okay. And what's happening is, going back to the cover that I mentioned earlier, because one of the ways that they can, one of the other ways to access service, or one of the other services, there we go, the care center is resource support. So now the students who don't know nothing about me, who maybe have not heard about me from any of the other connections that I made, they know about the care center because they see the stickers and flyers everywhere. So they go to the care center and they talk about how they need specialty items, or they talk about how they don't know what to do. Now they're getting connected with me and I can help them from there. So having those multiple points of entry really helps you meet students where they are, and based off of their comfort level. All right, practical tips. We almost done. I love that for us. Practical tips. So don't be afraid to tap into the tools around you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. That set me free. I'll tell you that right now. Feel free to leverage AI for creative ideas and communications. So I'll tell AI, I'm like, hey AI, here's what I have planned, or here's my goal of what I want to achieve. Give me some fun and creative ways to do that for this age range. Like the Wellness Jeopardy, AI was like, you should do Wellness Jeopardy. I didn't do everything it said, and I definitely spent the time making that. So that was all Jessica, or all God, amen. But what happened was, it inspired an idea for me. So in the past, because all of us here have existed before AI, because AI is relatively new. In the past, I would rack my brain to figure out the best way to communicate this and making sure it's appropriate, and what game and all. I would rely heavily on my brain. It would take me hours. But now with AI, I just tell it what I want, and it's like, oh, here are a list of games, and it helps inspire what I actually implement. So use available tools to make content accessible and engaging. Let me go to my notes because I've been going I was about to say off the rocker, but that's the wrong one. Off the dome. Okay, so I'm gonna stick to my list. Okay, so feel free to use AI, explore different resources to make your job easier. Keep it fresh. Don't be afraid. Oh, don't be afraid to change it up. If you are bored as a participant, know that they will be bored as as an audience. Like, you want to make sure you're having fun, you're engaging, you're having a good time, because that really does influence how people receive. Oh, I think I got ahead of myself. Nope, I didn't. How people receive what you do. Let me go to the next one. Bring your personality into the space. So be authentically you. You are not Jessica. I am not you. So be whatever you are in that space, because that's what students respond to. I remember when I was in a community, one of the things that I was told was like, it's important to be you and dress normal because that's what your clients are going to respond to. They don't want somebody in a suit who's using all this medical jargon or who's using all these big words. They need you to just be authentically you and present with them. So like you may not have to do it physically, but emotionally, or even when you're talking to them. I know in social work, when I was in school, they were telling us when your client is sitting on the ground, you need to match where they are. So sit on the ground with them, look them directly in their eye, be on their level so that it's not an unintentional power dynamic. Well, it's the same thing when we're working with our students. Am I talking to you like, oh, you don't know nothing? Because that's going to make you feel like you don't know nothing. Or am I talking to you clearly like, hey, you're a consenting adult. You know what to do. You can say yes, you can say no. You have knowledge, and here are some tools. I mean, they're still young, so it's going to be things that they don't know, but presenting it to them like, hey, I respect you. Here's the information. It changes everything. So yeah, bring your personality in, be you. Students really like the fact that I'm real and that I'm exactly what you see right now. This is how I present. And this is also how I talk to people. Don't copy methods, adapt them to your audience. So what works at U of M doesn't work for Michigan State. What works for the College of Social Science does not work for the Broad College of Business. But how can I adapt that passion? How can I adapt that idea to my population to make sure that they still get the information? And then just making sure that your inspiration is an example, not the rule. So even with the games and the Care Center is the biggest example I have. As different colleges have come to me to tour the Care Center, learn about what we're doing, and implement their own version, like, I strongly encourage everybody who comes to me to do what works for them and capacity wise, as well as their population. Like my population, as much as I get trail mix, they ain't gonna eat it. They don't eat the healthy stuff. All they want is chips and cookies. But you know who will eat it? Human medicine. They eat them trail mixes. So use it, but it's we're cousins, we're similar, but it's applicable and perfectly tailored for their population, even down to the location. Like in human medicine, it's in their student area. They have easy access and they just track based off of what items leave rather than the way I do it, which is more so like, students, they give me their MSU email. That's all I need. Everything else can be found from there. But they give me their email, first and last name, and then mine's require a little bit more data and tracking. But that's what works for my group. They don't mind that. They're like, as long as I get the cookies, I don't care. And then just remember that the students are people just like you. They are just like you. They have fears, they have desires, they have cares, they have worries, they have everything, just like you. So when you're talking to them, talk to them like you would. You expect them to talk to you, or you expect another person to talk to you. All right. So authenticity engages. Okay, we did really good on time. So in closing, oh wait, that's right. Questions. That'll do it. Okay, so in closing, here are the things that I want you to remember if you forget everything that I've said over the last however long we've been talking, over an hour. Start with you. So the more you know about yourself and your why and your perspective. And I know back when I was coming up in school, they talked a lot about your biases. Don't use that as a form of like a trap or a chain. Use that to really educate yourself of, okay, this is how I see this group. And is it appropriate for me to be engaging with this group in this way? So start with you, knowing yourself, knowing who you are and your perspective of the group. Be curious, listen with the intentions of understanding and learning. So look at the groups from their strengths, not what you see as their weakness. Make sure you are curious about what could be the actual source of this instead of just assuming based off of your past experience or your experience with different populations. Build relationships. So connection creates access. Those relationships have sustained me over the last year, or how long have I been here? 2 years. So as the care center and as different initiatives are growing, it's helped support me in ways I couldn't have imagined. People are sending me students to volunteer. Oh, I know Jessica's doing this. I know she's a good person. I know she does good work. I can trust her. So I don't mind putting my name on the line for her in this way. I don't mind sending her my students, or I don't mind referring her or asking her questions, because I know even as a staff member, she's not expecting me to know it all. But I know that because I talk to her and I have that relationship with her. Make it accessible. So go where they are and keep it simple. create multiple ways to access your resources, multiple ways to access your information, even for the people who don't want to talk to you. Like a lot of what I go over in my presentations are also available online. If you go to the Broad main page, which a lot of students are at, you scroll to the bottom, you click resources, all the resources, all the basic resources, because some of them require more information, but any of the basic resources are available. And my email is there if they need extra support. So for the students who need support but don't want to talk to me, that's all they have to do. So that's something that we've been commonly saying. Normalize resource, so remove the stigma, make it feel natural. If it feels natural to you, it's going to feel natural to everybody else. People are hanging out at the care center, which is unheard. Like they literally, I go up there, I'm like, why are you here? My staff, I'm like, are you working today? They're like, no. I just like hanging out here. And you know what's happening? They're doing their study groups up there. And they're like, oh, why don't we just go to the care center and get blah, blah, blah. But now the person who may not have been vocal about what they're going through is under the cover, able to get basic needs met. They're able to get the Dawn dish soap, the laundry detergent, all the other things because, oh, we as a group while studying just went to the care center for a snack. So if you help it feel natural, that will it's a word I'm thinking of, but it'll permeate the way other people see it. It'll help other people it'll help other people see it as something that's natural as well. And then keep it real. Be authentic, be you, adapt and bring your energy. You are your unique person. You are created for specific people. The way I talk is not for everybody. The way I present is not for everybody, but you have a population who you're called to reach. So just be you. Like I said at the beginning of this, my hope is not that you do exactly what I do, but that you apply it to what you're doing and who you are. So that my main goal is I want as many students to be helped as possible. I want them to have information on mental health services. I want them to have access to their basic needs, but that can only be done if we're all doing our part. So all that being said, that's the end of my talk. Does anybody have any questions? I know we were answering questions in the middle and there's some things in the chat, but you could go ahead and unmute if you have any questions.
I was just going to ask, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just switched to my car to pick up my daughter. But I wanted to, so when you have, which one, your energy is amazing. I love it. Two,
Thank you.
what does that look like? So obviously you get that, like, you get kids to like this atmosphere, right? And they feel comfortable. But when is there that next level of care that has to happen if that need mentally, like, do you have that transition of care? Or are you able, I mean, obviously with your degree, would you work on that level of care within this care facility, right? Like, I'm just thinking of my clients that I meet with that are students, actually in your school. So I'm just curious how that would work.
Yes. So I'm not going to say the example that popped in my head, but I use the care center as a front, and I've trained all of my staff on how to identify people so that they can send them to me. So yes, I work with them more in depth, while my students are kind of like the front men, if that's making sense. I hope that's answering your question.
Yes, yeah, that does. And then you can work with them on the mental health component as well. Awesome.
The only thing I can't do is like full blown therapy because I'm not covered under the insurance, but I can get them connected. So when I took this role, my main goal is to make sure that they had the least amount of steps as possible. Because I remember when I was a student at Michigan State, how I would I would be like, okay, I need to talk to this person, but it turns out that person is not the person no more. That department got a new name and they do different things. And then now I'm going in a circle. Now I'm upset. Now I'm frustrated. So I took the time to really learn what everybody does so that when they come to me, when I calm them down, because I do my best to ground them, which I've been pretty successful with grounding people when they come to me, especially when they're really upset. Then I'm like, okay, let's walk it out together. Here is a therapist. Like, here's this website. Here's a therapist that we can go to. I'm very familiar with the CAP system because that was my internship. So I could tell you the real of how and I've got updated when I first got here. I asked them, what does the process look like now? When are good time? Like, when should I start encouraging people to look off campus? What does that look like? So I'm guiding them through the process. I'm talking them through it. And then I allow them to choose what direction they want to go in. So there have been several times where students have seen my presentation and they corner me while I'm on my way to the kitchen to heat up my lunch. So they'll corner me, or they'll start off in the care center, but then they'll come to me and they'll be like, okay, this is actually going on. So I walk with them. Okay, do you want an off-campus therapist or on-campus therapist? Well, tell me more about what's going on. Okay, you should actually, or sometimes they don't know they need to go to a therapist. They'll tell me what's going on, and I'm like, you need to, I would highly encourage that you talk to somebody. This is what this looks like. When I used to provide therapy, I could provide you with that context of this is what a therapy session could look like without crossing the line of I'm actually providing you like therapy. So yeah, long story short, I do go into the nitty gritty with them. I just don't go beyond the threshold. Like, I don't cross over the threshold of therapy.
This idea where we can kind of decipher what is maybe an academic stressor that you might be able to associate and use versus having to go into a further therapy journey, advertising, whatever that might be, when they just might need a quick support system. So I like that.
Yes, that's the main thing because I wanted to reduce how many people went to CAPS and got turned away. No shade to CAPS. We love CAPS because I forgot this was recorded. But I wanted to make sure that I reduced like as many inappropriate referrals as possible. So I allow them to tell me whatever's going on, and then I help guide them from there of like, hey, this is a more serious problem. You should go to CAPS, or if possible, you should go off campus, and then going from there. Great point. There can be an info. Yes, there really can. I remember when I was there could be a great influx, and then certain people just have certain needs and desires of what they want in a therapist. And when it's a college counseling center, while that's an awesome resource, sometimes they may want a specific identity in their therapist that's not available in the counseling center. So with my knowledge and experience doing therapy, I guide the students through that process. I help them find therapists. There have been several times where we reach out in their consultation. We reach out to the therapist right then and there. And I ask them the questions of like, did you like that person? Who do you see when you see that person? If you got a bad relationship with your mom and this reminds you of your mom, I don't know if that's the right person for you. So asking them questions that they don't think about, because a lot of students, they don't think that they have choices in things, especially if they're coming straight from high school, where it's like you go to the bathroom at this time, you go to class at this time, things are more structured. Them talking with me help them explore and come more from that perspective rather than just, okay, I have no choice. I got to just go with you.
Going
So I don't have
once.
a
Oh,
question, but I do just want to come up and say this has been so, so helpful. I know even with my own university, trying to make steps in this direction, particularly around reducing the stigma of how do we talk about these things. That was extremely eye-opening and so helpful. I'm excited to go back and put some of these practices into work.
Thank you, Lauren. All right, go ahead, Kristen.
okay. Well, going once, going twice. Unmute or put yourself in the chat. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And Jessica, I really enjoyed your presentation. I'm thinking in my
Thank
mind, like
you.
all the different people that I want to connect you with. So anyway, and again, other people on here, if you want to connect Jessica, I've got her email in the reminder, so you're welcome to grab her email off of there. And we're just so happy you could be here. Again, thank you, Jessica. We are Spartans for life over here. So,
Yeah.
so glad you could be here. And to everyone else as well. This is our last educational webinar and event for 2025. So I'm gearing up to schedule our 2026 education. So if any of you have some ideas on topics or know someone that would like to present or you would like to present, please reach out to me. Again, have a wonderful holiday, stay warm, and we will see you in 2026. Thank you.